This is Mo Brinks Plenty, and you're listening to Monday Morning Critic.
Perfect. Mo, let me just tell you how awesome Michelle is and how awesome of a team you guys are.
Oh, thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Oh, I just, listen, I only have people on the podcast whose work I love, but sometimes, there's middle people that, can sometimes cause havoc in that.
Yeah.
But Michelle is on the wonderful side of those things. So thank you. And if Michelle, you're listening or watching this, thank Michelle too.
Yeah, she's amazing.
Yeah, she is. And there is a great photo, Mo. It was on your Instagram of you and her at the Golden Globes. It was such a great picture. Like just a good team.
Oh yeah, thank you so much. She's been through a lot. We're pretty much like family. I mean, and Sarah Ann is also a big part of our team. It takes good folks to have a good smooth operation.
Yeah, and she gets you kind of like a sister or a sibling would, right? Like they understand. You guys make it. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not always like that, and I wish it was like this more. But listen, I'm not going to complain. I'm just going to point it out how great it is.
Thank you so much.
Yeah. So, are you in the quote unquote real world? Are you a rancher?
Yep. We have a few head of cows. We have horses. My wife, Sarah Ann, she's a huge advocate for waterfowl. And so we have a ton of, I shouldn't say a ton. We have about 14 waterfowl rescues. We rescue all kinds of animals. It's just, we know the importance of them to the environment as well. So we try to do our part.
That is like music to my ears to hear that, because I feel like, Mo, ranchers and farmers, I mean, Yellowstone aside, like ranchers and farmers are maybe the most underappreciated parts of our country, maybe worldwide, maybe in general worldwide. Like they are the backbone of everything we see in a grocery store, and sometimes I think we forget where all this stuff comes from.
You're absolutely right. I mean, it's just not the grocery stores, but to the things you wear.
That's right.
The different items that that farming and ranching communities contribute to, and so we are also a vital role in the food source around the world, but also the economic reasons too that we are a part of this, and it's just a challenge anymore. It seems like the challenge is becoming greater and greater with each passing year. So I think it's not intended for everyone. We have to constantly think of different ways of how to maintain a budget, and we have to things that we were probably able to have before to help us in our process. We had to cut that out and get something else that we need. I mean, so it's forever changing, and so.
Yeah, it's a great answer. With your schedule for shooting, is it tough to be back and forth? Because I mean, I'm not. This will be the last time I bring up Michelle. She's going to think, "Geez, this guy really is my promoter." But just in general, like I know she told me like you're always, and from your IMDb, she's right. You're always busy. You're always back and forth. You're filming. You're this. I mean, she had mentioned that you hadn't had a break since I think the middle of December, right around Christmas. So how do you maintain this life of a rancher, and then, my God, this wonderful acting career you have?
I don't know how to put it. We just do.
Right.
I'm thankful for my in-laws. I have two amazing nephews that are at the ranch helping my in-laws out. They keep the whole operation functioning there. And then it gives us the ability to continue to advocate and make change and be part of change and these different opportunities in this industry.
Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, it's just to hear that you actually live the part that you're playing in some ways is just awesome. Let me ask you this. Tell me about your younger years, you as a kid. Tell me what kind of kid you were, Mo. I always ask my guests this. Like, what kind of kid were you, Mo?
I was a very shy kid, to be honest with you, Derek. It's so shy that even when my first cousins would show up, I would hide pretty much for anywhere from an hour to an hour and a half before I warmed up to them, and then I could play. I've always been shy ever since I was a little boy. Try to stay out of the attention of others. And then growing up on a reservation and schools and stuff, you kind of learn how to navigate your way through without trying to draw attention to yourself. Because growing up on a reservation in South Dakota, during it was just right after the Wounded Knee occupation. You had it was based on your family name, and I had family members that were at Wounded Knee and
Wow.
that were a part of the American Indian movement. And so, it caused this separation within our own communities, also, even amongst some family members and stuff too. So, I always try to prevent myself from drawing any type of attention to myself.
Yeah, I mean that's a great answer. And the reservation that you grew up on was Pine Ridge. Is that correct, Mo?
Yeah, I spent a lot of years on the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation. That's where I was born. But my mother, she's from the Cheyenne River Reservation, still Lakota country, where I am now currently tribally enrolled. And I also spent some time on the Rosebud Reservation. So I like to say I grew up in Lakota country.
Yeah, I got you. Yeah,
Yeah.
that makes sense. In South Dakota, before. Well, you know what? I'm going to go in order here. So tell me about your parents, Mo. Tell me about their impact on your life. You mentioned your parents earlier. Tell me about their impact on your life.
My mom and dad, are hard workers.
Yeah.
And but they've been through, especially my father, he's been through the boarding school era. And it was, I asked my father one time, why don't you ever tell us you love us? And he said, you have a roof over your head, don't you? You have a full belly, you have clothes on your back,
Yeah.
and you have a place to sleep, and you have a mom and dad that are home, and so he said, if that doesn't tell you that we love you, then me saying it ain't gonna matter. And so it really, my father was a hardworking man. He was the one that always said there's no such thing as a free meal. And so we worked hard, my brother and my brothers. So I had two younger brothers, and because I'm the oldest in my family, and every day we got up, especially my brother Joe and I, we knew we had chores, but they were chores that didn't come with uh, any type of weekly payment. It was chores that was required for part of our living. Whether it was hauling water or splitting wood. I remember one summer we started cutting wood early, and I asked my dad. I said, it's really hot out yet. Why are we cutting wood now? And he said, do you know when winter's gonna come? I said, no, I don't. And he said, okay, it's all about preparation. So everything my father and then my grandparents taught me was about the preparation in life. You always
Yeah.
want to be prepared.
Yeah, the funny thing is not the funny thing, but like you hear kids today, or another generation, because you and I are almost the same age, right? So you
Mhm.
hear kids talk about allowance, and what do I get? You know what, Mo? You just brought a great point up. You know what you get? You get to live a great life with great parents and a great family. And I think that's lost on kids a lot. I think kids forget, the allowance that you get is you have a wonderful roof, like your dad said, over your head. So that is, I never even thought of that. The way you articulated that's such a great point, Mo.
Yeah, and we try to live. I mean, Sarah and my wife had once made a great statement. She said, "We have to move to live. Everything in life moves to live. From a tree to everything. Everything. Nothing sits still and expects to live." And so, I try to maintain that. One thing I learned as a kid was that there's a difference between living and surviving. And
Right.
so, I'd rather be someone who lives versus trying to survive. Because the things that are in that survivalistic, mode, they would brutalize and eat their own children. But
Mm.
if you live, you're able to do things for others and in the process of your life as well.
Yeah, you did a wonderful interview with this guy. I don't remember the show, and shame on me. You had done 3 interviews with him, but I heard you say a quote that has stuck with me since I heard it. And you were talking about, how many steps you get in life. Like you said to him, hypothetically, if you get 30 million steps. How are you going to spend them? Like, I don't know. Ever since I heard it, I've been thinking about it. Like, it's just like I walk out of my house. I'm like, okay, there was 12. Like, there's 10. There's 5. Like, I don't know. And now it's in my head, Mo. So you're in my head now.
That's a good thing because we should value every step we take.
Absolutely.
You know, and of course we're going to make our mistakes along the way. I mean, and I try not to use the "why I'm only human" as an scapegoat. But I am human, and
Mm,
I'm trying to understand how to conduct my life or navigate my life in a spiritual manner, in a spiritual way. And it has its challenges also. And so I'm just an individual who loves challenges.
mm. We talk about Pine Ridge, and we talk about a little bit of South Dakota. Tell me why you love the Badlands so much. I've heard you in interviews say this too. No, I didn't listen. Well, I listened to it, but like I want to get it from you so people can hear it.
It is the most beautiful and most peaceful place ever. You know,
Mm,
um, it is a tough country.
hmm
It's wild country, but it's a country that is honest, and that's what I admire about the Badlands and Mother Nature and nature. Period. The honesty. We sometimes nature can be very cruel, but that's just her simply being honest.
Yeah, that's a great answer. You are a humble, kind, and grounded man. Mo, where do you think you get that from? Just your upbringing, mom and dad, your family?
I had great role models, from the Crazy Horse Brings Plenty, Crow Dogs, Sitting Bulls to my grandparents, and just spending time with a lot of traditional people, and that's
Mm,
what, from CeeLo Black Crow to Chief Leonard Crow Dog and so many others. The list is long, and all the great grandmas and moms. They weren't aunties, they were mothers. And
mm.
so just they always said, never forget where you come from. And my grandfather always said too, he said, be sure to always humble yourself. If you continue to humble yourself, then the great creator would not have to humble you, because if the creator does have to humble you, it's not going to be as light, and it's not going to be as merciful. It's going to be
Wow.
pretty hard.
I'm gonna say, Mo, just from talking to you for 12 minutes, you grew up around some pretty great people.
Yes, I have.
You know,
That's true.
yeah, yeah, very blessed. Let me ask you this: so, what age, Mo, did you get into just being around? We talked about your rancher life, but as a kid, when did you start getting around horses and learning to ride and understanding the horse?
Since I was born.
Wow,
So
wow,
yeah, since I was born.
yeah,
And
yeah.
one thing about reservation life in South Dakota is that we as kids, you had three ways of getting around, and our relatives, our neighbors we were so spread out. We were so rural that we were so country that my little brother and I for Halloween would just simply walk out the front door and run around the house and knock on our same door and say trick or treat. That's how isolated we were. But horses really brought a sense of freedom, and gave us the ability to dream. We
mm,
played a lot of games where we were buffalo hunters when the shadows from the clouds would go across the prairie. My brothers and I and my cousins, we used to have these weeds that would grow probably about 6 feet tall. You can pull them out by hand, and those were our lances, and so we would run beside those shadows pretending we were hunting buffalo for the people. And we had a lot of wonderful times with horses. They were great adventures, and doorways for us to dream.
that's maybe the best answer I've heard in a while. I mean, Mo, let me ask you, what is it about horses? And I hear your perspective, but whenever I see a movie about horse, whether it's Seabiscuit or Dances with Wolves or The Horse Whisperer, I mean, on and on. There's a part of just watching horses on screen that gets to your heart. Like you grew up around them. I've only ridden a horse once in my life, and I fell in love. And I never knew how gigantic they are. By the way, I just was like blown away. What is it, Mo, about horses for maybe those of us that haven't grown up on a ranch or a farm that just like it melts? Like when I see a movie about horses, I am in. I don't care what it's about. Like, I mean, I am just in. What is it about these beasts that just get into you at like they're a companion? They're like a like right now my dog is sleeping on the couch, like a companion, somebody you love. What is it, Mo?
they are the bridge between the physical and the spiritual realm. They're truly and literally the physical angels of heaven. And
Hmm.
so we are given the opportunity to experience that. I mean, I look back at my ancestral way because I come from a horse cultural people, and horses have always been with our people long before the Spanish ever brought theirs. There's a theory, and people almost, it's been preached and talked about so much that people almost believe in this concept that horses were here years ago and then left. Well, horses never left because we had great breeding programs. The horse has always been a part of our identity, and they were always the constant reminder of how to be, you know.
Hmm.
And they are fearful. They are fearless individuals, but society says they are fearful. They are animals of flight, but really, they are lovers of life. That they will do all, do what it takes to escape danger so they can live. It's not that they're fearful.
Yeah, that's a beautiful answer. And from what you're saying, that would make sense to me. If you look on the screen, you see a picture. One of the pictures is of you and Gil Birmingham, who I'm going to tell you, for those listening or watching, his performance in Hell or High Water, and especially Wind River. I've loved this man's work forever. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, he was supposed to come on a podcast a while ago, but there was a thing he had shooting. But I'm just going to say, what is it about that you love most about Gil? Your friendship, whatever you wanted to say, Mo. What a wonderful friendship you guys have. I think, and what a wonderful pair of actors I'm looking at.
Gil is a brother. I love him like a brother. I really do. He has been an inspiration. I've watched him before. I even had the opportunity to work with him, and we knew of each other before, because we got to perform together once before on stage.
I did see that. That was awesome. Yeah, that was awesome, Mo.
And so Gil is again. I mean, I love him like a brother. Bottom line, in spite of whenever Yellowstone does come to an end, Gil and I's relationship as brothers will continue.
Yeah, and hopefully on screen too.
Yeah,
Hope, yeah, yeah.
yeah, that'd be wonderful. We talked about him and I always joke around. Oh, we need a Moan Rainwater spinoff, and I said, yeah, that'd be wonderful.
No, and all joking aside, that would be a great spinoff. Like that would be like a practical spinoff that people would be all in on. What did you think of Wind River, Mo?
you know, um, I tell you what, the acting just doesn't come natural. It's something that I had to work at, and I signed up. I like to try to take acting classes when I get the opportunity. So I signed up for some classes and took some in Kansas City, and I didn't mention, that I started working with Gil, and the instructor, he brought up Gil Birmingham's performance in Wind River,
Wow.
and so I just smiled and I said, yeah. And so every opportunity I get, I mean, Gil's a very hardworking individual. He is a master at this art, and I'm surprised that he's not, being nominated for other awards. I mean, he's an individual that is well deserving of it, and should get that opportunity because he is such a brilliant actor.
Yeah, he put on a tour de force in Wind River. He was so good in that. As was Kelsey, who plays Monica. Obviously, for those listening, she was so good in that. It's like it's just a movie that really you watch it and it's like I don't know. Taylor gets it on so many levels. Speaking of rapports, Mo, you are in. I don't want to say inner circle because that makes it sounds like some private thing, but Taylor loves you. Obviously, he loves your work. He loves what you bring to the table. Talk about your rapport and your relationship with Taylor, and whatever you wanted to add to that, Mo.
I have a great deal of love and respect for Taylor Sheridan, him and his family. Taylor's one of those individuals, and I will continue to always repeat this. It's a simple fact that Taylor's not just one of the types of people that says, "Come on, I'll help you out," and says, "Okay, you stand back here." No, he's one of the types of people that will make room at the table and say, "No, you're right here beside me."
That's
And
awesome. Yeah.
Taylor's so legit and real. He's not going to do something that he knows he can't be supportive of, and I just have a great admiration of respect, a great deal of respect for him for what he does, for what he has done and continues to do for Indian country.
Yeah, and he considers you from when people talk about his creative team, he considers you an important part of that. I have to believe, Mo.
I feel very fortunate and blessed, because Taylor's an individual that allows me to be me. As a kid growing up, I always tell people these braids, they came with a great deal. They came with a price, and there was a great price. But now, thanks to Taylor, we're inspiring other young Native Native males to now begin to wear their hair in braids. And it's always been there, but there was always some backlash that came with it. And it still resides. It still exists in this day and age. I just did an event in Montana, um, um, where they invited all these young individuals from grades K through 12. All these young men, males, came out and with long hair, and I got to share the court with them, and to explain the importance of the length of our hair, why we wear our hair long, but also to continue to encourage them, and I give that opportunity. I wouldn't have that opportunity if it weren't for Taylor Sheridan or for David Glasser and the
Mm.
101 Studios team, and also Paramount. And when they do things, they want it to be real. I give a huge shout out to our set decorations, our props people, our props crew, everyone in the crew, because they diligently do their homework, and they work hard at it because they want it to be correct too. And so it takes a village to produce a good show. And so everyone's involved. It's just not me. And Taylor, he has an amazing crew, and I just feel fortunate, humbled, and blessed to play a small part in that crew.
Mo, would it be okay if I asked you what the cultural significance of your braids are?
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah,
It is a way to honor the women, because and we come from a matriarchal setting, and our Messiah is a female, and she's known as the white buffalo calf woman. And so we wear the two braids to honor the women, and it takes three strands to make one braid. And so one strand represents the creator, whether you call the creator God, Allah, Jehovah, Wakuntaka, don't matter what name you have for the creator, it's still the same one.
yeah,
The second strand represents our spirit, and our third strand represents the earth, which is also our body. And so they're all brought together as a reminder of how we must navigate or conduct our lives in this day. With all of it, from up there or there to here, all encompassing, or all in one mind. And so that's the significance of the braid. It's no different than when a priest, they wear a crucifix every day. This is our crucifix. We wear
yes,
it every
got
day.
it, got it. How many years did it take you to have that, Mo?
That's a good question. I lost count, but probably about 23, maybe 24 years. So
Wow.
now,
Wow. Yeah, that's beautiful stuff, man. That is beautiful stuff. So one of and this will be the last thing I say about Wind River. One of the things that I really appreciate about that is I think Taylor, the way the respect he has for Native Americans, right? So um one of the movies I know that you like is Dances with Wolves, and I had Tantu Cardinal on the podcast about 2 or 3 years ago. She's an icon and a legend, and I love the way Taylor approaches his storytelling. He's not ignorant. He's inclusive. He gets it. Um, the missing person stats for Native American women is a little bit no, it's not a little bit. It's a lot of bit disturbing. And that watching a movie like that, I was so blown away. But the way he ends it like that, it's like your heart just drops out. Like life has no value. Like I don't know. I mean, I'm not going to stand like on a soapbox and preach, but my God, Mo, it was so heartfelt and so like I felt like I got punched in the stomach when I was watching that movie.
no, you're absolutely right. I mean, even when we reflected on it in season 3 of Yellowstone, I'll never forget that day.
That's right. Yep.
It was a very tough day because I have a relative that's still missing. We know who she was with last, but because he went to state prison, he is protected by the state laws, and so we can't even ask him any questions. And so it's something that is ongoing. But there's also, for me, I try to look at, I try to talk to my nieces. I mean, I'm thank goodness my nieces are pretty strong.
Mm.
um, and tradition saves a lot of lives. It's simple as that, because I noticed in my own life that the moment I just became submissive to the traditions as a young individual, I noticed my life begin to change, and the confusion and the void that I felt like I tried to fill for years with nonsense was unfillable, was now beginning to fill up, and I was able to think clear, make proper judgments and decisions in some of the in things that could affect my life, whether it's physical or even emotionally. And so, tradition saves lives, and that's why it's so important that in Indian country and within our own communities, we have to revitalize those traditions and bring them back, and not use them as look at it in a way that it's a game. It's something that we have to take seriously because our ancestors did. I always tell people, I just don't, I can't, I know it's hard for me, but I say that it's not, I don't represent the people of today. I am trying to be somewhat of a mere reflection of the people of the past, with hopes that I can inspire some people of today to do the same.
That's beautifully said. I have to say, I was so pumping my fist when I was watching the Golden Globes with my wife, and you popped on the screen, Mo. I was pumping my fist, man, because I mean, what I think of you, we're gonna get to this in a second, but what I think of you as an actor and as a person, like I was just so happy to see you up there, Mo.
Oh, it was such an exciting day. I mean, I want to give a shout out to the Academy, the Golden Globes, and the board, everyone that was involved in allowing me to be part of that presentation. Because we were looking back, Michelle and I, and even Sarah, and we were all looking back and trying to figure out if there was ever another other Native presenter, and I don't think there were. I think I was the first one. So I
Wow.
want to give thanks to the Golden Globes for making that happen. I'm not the type of individual to talk about so much. I try. I'm trying to mature, so I try not to talk about what once was. I'm trying to, I want to talk about what is, and all these great opportunities now that we have as American Indian people, as Native people, and all these different productions that are starting to happen, and people are wanting to, include us more and more in their stories. So I want to say thank you to every single one of them.
Yeah, what a beautiful thing. On the other end of that, on the other end of that, I wanted to ask you, you got to a point in your life, Mo, where you were like, you know what, maybe acting isn't for me, right? Maybe acting isn't for me. Tell me how you got yourself. I don't want to call it a rut because that's the wrong word. How did you get out of that mindset where, you know what, I wanted to leave, but now I think I can make this work. I think I can make this work. Mo, talk about that part of your life?
It took helping hands,
Yeah,
and that's where Taylor Sheridan, Gil Birmingham, 101 Studios, they in Paramount, they gave me that helping hand, and they allowed me to stand on my own, but they helped me to my feet. And so now I want to try to repay it, and pass it forward, and give other opportunities to young Native people that are growing up on these different reservations that may not have that opportunity. And
yeah.
so, I want to try to rip these doors off these hinges so that it could be possible.
Yeah, and I'm saving my Yellowstone questions for about 2 minutes from now, but I wanted to say because of what you just said, I had Rudy Ramos on the show who plays Felix Long. He had some glowing things to say about you. Like he was all about Mo and who you are as a person and an actor. I just thought that was the perfect time to throw that in there.
Oh, thank you so much. Rudy is amazing. I love him very much, and I just think the world of him. He has such a good heart and good spirit about him that you just want to be in his presence all the time.
Oh, that's a great point. So let me ask you, what was it like being in the Revenant? You did some stunts in the Revenant. You did this. Is that a tough part when you're doing stunts, Mo? Because we're gonna get to the acting part more in a second, but like the stunts part, what is that like for you, Mo? I know we've established that you know horses. Talk about your role and what you had to do in the Revenant.
I just did some horseback riding. I mean,
Yeah,
that for me, that's nothing. It's just everyday life, and
sure.
and it was cold. It was very cold, but it was wonderful because I got to work with some really good guys. Lucas, Rod Rondeau. I mean, there was quite a few native stunt guys that are amazing that have been in the business for a long time. Rod's been around. He's from Crow Agency and an amazing stunt guy. He was also an inspiration to some young individuals and got them rocking and rolling, I can say. And just man, just need continue to need guys. We could always use people like that, and I hope that I could do the same as what Rod has done, for stunt people as well. And now we got Danny Edmo, who's Blackfoot. He's got a really good crew together. I mean, and we need more and more. And so we just need to continue to take these advantage of these opportunities and shine during those opportunities because we may not ever get them again, and then so I just always think about those people, even like Howard Hunter Sr., who was a great Lakota horseman and an amazing saddle bronc rider from Kyle, South Dakota. And he was a huge inspiration and in my life. And so I just am thankful to just be blessed to be around amazing people.
You never forget a person in your life. It seems like, well, like you are so appreciative and so humble and grounded as to who has affected your life. Mo, I hope I have at least one person like that in my life that says, you know what, he did one good thing. Like the way you appreciate people, Mo, is so refreshing to hear, right? In a society where we hear negatives about everything, the way you bring your approach to life is really beautiful, Mo.
Well, like I said, Derek, I love challenges, and
Mm,
it's easy to absorb ourselves with the negativity. It's a challenge to look at it in a different light, in a different way, and try to be positive. And so these are all individuals that made. I'd look back even at my grandparents. Philip brings plenty in them, and just in spite of the situations that we were in, there was still a lot of laughter in our homes. There was still a lot of joy. There was still a lot of gratitude, and I think about that every single day of my life. And that's why I don't want to forget these people because they may no longer be here in a physical sense. Some of them, that it still doesn't mean that they're gone.
mm.
I still see my I still, even my father's still alive today, but I still see like my grandfather, my grandmothers, my fathers, my mom. I still see some of their movement and some of the things that I do, and I could still see Howard Hunter Sr. on a horse. I mean, I still see all of these things, and I am and I that include that into my life and try to carry that on because I don't want to forget about them. You know.
What an honorable way to keep their memory alive. To keep mentioning their names. Yeah, Mo, that's really beautiful. I thought about you today, Mo. I was looking at a movie called and this is just random, Killers of the Flower Moon, which is about Osage Nation and the reign of terror that killed 30 people from 21 to 26. Boy, am I dying to see how this movie turns out because the history part of it is just terrible and frightening as hell. Like, I mean, it's nothing new, but like I don't know your thoughts on that, Mo, and anything you wanted to add to that.
I remember when I went to Pahuska, Oklahoma. We were talking a little bit about that history, and this was years ago, and they call it the $1 million tree,
Mm,
where all of the decisions and stuff were made. And so we stood at that tree. But what was most impressive to me was that I got to sit and visit with a fluent Osage speaker, and also at the same time my heart was kind of saddened because all I kept thinking about is once he leaves, then who's next? Who's going to carry that on?
right.
And that's a part of our identity. It's a part of our culture, and so that's why I want to try to bring back, and we can coexist today. I'm a prime example of that, and we could do it in a way that we are compassionate to others and not continue to reside and drown ourselves in all the negativity of what once was. Let's start thinking about what is and how can we build from there, to make a brighter future for all children, not just our own, but for all.
Yeah, that's well said. That's well said. I just, I'm just the way you're saying it and the way I hope this movie really resonates with people. And I hope it turns out the way I hope it turns out. Like I hope it's not disappointing. That's all. I'll leave that there. You know who had wonderful words to say about you is the actor who plays Angela Blue Thunder, and she said Mo bridges the connecting Indigenous people with the film industry. Amazing to see what he's done. I tell you what, that's again, Mo. I'm peppering you with compliments, but what a wonderful thing for a castmate to say about you both professionally and personally.
I'm so thankful for the people that Taylor had brought in, because I think that, for me, it's just a good feeling to know that you're working with people that have your back. And
Mm,
that's what we need more of, especially as indigenous people around the world. To welcome in our non-native, allies or friends, it's so important because at the end of the day, we're all human beings. We all share the same atmosphere, and we're all in this together. We have a knowledge that could be utilized, to help us, to help all people in the future. Just like a scientist, a non-native, has a great knowledge also that they could share with us, and we continue to share. Sitting Bull once said, "Let's put our minds together."
mm,
And let's see what we can do to create a beautiful place for all children. A
mm.
simple fact. I mean,
Beautiful. Yep.
so that's how I look at it. And again, it takes even our own to be able to, and I'm thankful for her because again, for her to say that, that's humbling to me, because she's a great actress, and I'm just thankful to share that opportunity and to share the screen with her as well.
Oh, that's
She's
really
strong. She's strong, man.
yeah, yeah. I concur from just somebody watching on screen. Let me ask you this, Mo. So you're a very real person. You're very legitimate. What do you do when you have angry moments or doubts, or like how do you handle it? Do you go for a run? Do you just I don't know. How do you handle those moments where it's like, you know what? I can't be the nice Mo now. I can't be the guy that sees the world half full. Like, what do you do, Mo? What do you do in those moments?
Usually just get on a horse or go watch the horses, and sometimes I'll just go off on myself, and it's okay to cry.
Yeah, you're damn right it is, Mo. People, let me tell you something. My wife has seen me cry so much. She's like, "You have issues." I'm like, "Probably do, but you know what? At least I feel better now." And I agree. I cry all the time. Yellowstone, I don't care.
Yeah.
I love that you said that, Mo. Now it's cool because when she sees this, she's going to be. If Mo says it, it's all right. Let me ask you this about Jurassic World real quick before we hop into Yellowstone. Talk about. I loved seeing you on screen. There, I was in the theater. I'm like, there he is, Mo. What was it like that experience and Chris Pratt?
I tell you what, first of all, I owe that experience, just to be a part of that, to Mark Nugent and Danny. I know those guys, man, they made it possible for me to be there. And it was awesome to work with Chris Pratt. He's a funny guy. And we had a lot of, I didn't know how to, I was like trying to be this stoic Indian and trying to be strong, but then I'm like, this guy's really cool because I didn't know how to, I didn't know.
How do you do it? Like,
Yeah, I just stayed on my horse and just kind of mind my own business. But then in watching and listening to him and actually getting to visit with him, I was like, man, this guy's all right, and he was awesome. It was such a great time. It was cold there too, but I enjoyed it, and the stunt guys were amazing. Everyone was just amazing on that project.
oh, and you were great too. Let me ask you this. So I don't know if you're following the 1923 show on Paramount right now, but there's an interesting storyline. I've been dying to ask you this all day, where the church operated Indian schools, where priests and nuns were doing God's work. Um, Very hard to watch, very difficult to watch, but I think it's an important to watch. I don't know if you've been following, but what are your thoughts on this? Because it's been really hard to watch, not because it's like it's just to know that this happened, to know that this is actually things that have unfolded. It breaks your heart, Mo. What did you want to add to that, if anything?
Well, I'll let you in on a little secret. I was brought in as the American Indian consultant for that project, and I was kind of, I wasn't sure if I could do it. And I want, because it's a story that needs to be told, but I wanted to make sure that I'd have the strength to do so. But Amina, who plays Tiona, and sitting there watching the monitors, she does such an amazing job. there are times that I had to get up and walk away, and I would go weep by myself, and I would stand up and I would just take a couple of deep breaths and look back and see an amazing crew again that Taylor and 101 and Paramount had put together. And just I knew that, these people are on they're understanding. And so it was good. I was there at every moment, and to see it all is just is powerful. It was powerful, and Michael Spears did a great job. Michael Gray Eyes, everyone did a wonderful job. Sebastian, who played Father Renal,
Yeah.
thank goodness that we were able to laugh when he wasn't on set, because he brought it too, and it was just, it was so real, and all the gals that played the nuns. Oh wow, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I remember the ruler scene. I mean, I still have
Ooh.
marks on my hands from having a ruler on my hands. I could tell you what a bar of soap tastes like too. But again, from my experience in my life and the way I look at it, is that there is absolutely nothing in this world that is preventing us as American Indian people, as tribal people. There's nothing that is stopping us from being exactly what those children were told they can no longer be. It's
Mm.
for our own choices and our own decisions. It's up to us. And so for me, I took all that negativity and I used it as energy, as fuel to become exactly what they didn't want me to be.
Wow. Michael Gray is a pretty special talent. He's pretty good.
Yeah.
Pretty special talent. Let's get into your character. I'm going to tell you. So, like Rip, when it comes to Rip and Mo, right? People talk about the similarities. They talk about the differences. Listen, Rip will beat you up, and they all throw the bodies in the same place. I'm going to tell you, Mo. If you ever get him angry, you will disappear, and your body will never be found again. And I feel like the way Mo contains himself, I think is such a wonderful quality. Like, I'm sorry, on Yellowstone, of all the characters I would never mess with, I would never mess with Mo ever. Like, I feel like he's almost got like Jedi like qualities. Like, I am staying away from Mo. No, not staying away as far as staying away, but like trying to make him mad, trying to upset him. I'm good. Like, and he's not the guy that looks for trouble either. Like, he's just a very kind man. But I'm going to tell you, Mo of all the characters, I am not messing with.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to mess with that guy either. He's, the quiet ones. You always have to be watchful of the quiet ones, and that individual has a strength that hopefully one day in my real life I can have that type of strength. He's such a great individual, and Rip. A lot of people, they always say, "Man, it'd be awesome to see Rip and Mo team up," and I don't know if the world is ready for that. I don't know if we could have Rip and Mo team up, because that would be like a hurricane, tornado, all in one. Sweeping across the land, and so yeah, I'm just thankful that Taylor created that character for me, and has given me the opportunity to bring him to life.
And you were Rip. We're at the well. You would not Rip. You and Cole were at the same table at the Golden Globes.
Yes, we were, and we
Yeah,
got to present together, and I love that guy too, man. He's a good brother.
yeah. You talk about another good spin-off. Oh my God! Can you imagine these two together? Jesus. And I love the way Mo, your character has evolved. Right? He's almost like a partner, a confidant, an advisor. Like he's this guy that Rainwater turns to in like moments like you're kind of the guy that makes the calls. I mean, I get it. He's the head of but like you make the calls because you're the guy who's you have to sign off on everything. I feel like big decisions.
Well, I think where people get that feeling is because Mo comes from a traditional background, and Mo understands the power of education as well, and so that's why he's so supportive of Thomas Rainwater, because Thomas Rainwater can help the people progress, and Mo's going to help bring along the traditions with that, so they don't forget where they come from. And so the two of them together is such a powerhouse. And so I'm just, again, always excited to see what's going to happen with them, when them two continue to work together and do things together. It's so awesome.
How did you create Mo as far as getting his his mentality, this character? What went into that for you, Mo, personally?
Man, I brought a little bit of I'm bringing in some ancestral
Mm.
stories. So I brought in, a crazy horse, a sitting bull, a Brinks plenty, even a crow dog of today. I mean, I brought in different aspects of different individuals through over the years in my life and instilled them into that character.
You talk about getting emotional. That funeral scene got me emotional.
Yeah.
All of it, the whole episode, not just like I just feel like it was just so beautiful. Is that one of those moments, Mo, as an actor, where you can really just feel the importance of an episode?
It exactly. You can. And what really helps it is you're bringing the reality, you're bringing the spirit with that truth. And that's why what Taylor and everyone is doing, they are mindful. They're not going to bring in something that's artificial. They want when you can bring the spirit with it, it brings more reality to it, and people can feel that. And so that's the benefit of bringing in the grassroots traditions.
Mm. Do you think Mo likes John Dutton?
you know I think he has known John Dutton his whole life and the Dutton family. So I think that there is a part of him that it's an everyday. I'm not going to say fixture, but an everyday thing in his life. And so he has grown. He's adapted to it, and so I think there is a spot in his mind and in his heart for that family.
Mo, thank you for all this time. Two final questions for you. Who is more who you're not messing with more, Beth or Angela Blue Thunder? I feel like I don't want a part of any. Like we mentioned Mo and Rip, but these are the two that might be more dangerous than those two. I'm staying away. I'm good. I'm good. Wow.
You know, either one of them. I honestly would not want to be left alone in a room with either one of them, because in a boardroom, that is, because I Beth Dutton can chew you up and spit you out, and I believe Angela Blue Thunder could do the same.
Ooh,
So
she
they're
sure.
two tough individuals.
My last question is, I love how this show, when it came to life on the reservation, the early seasons, maybe 1 through 3, you see the poverty, you see, how tough it can become, and I love how Taylor didn't sugarcoat that.
Mhm.
Mo, how do you feel that life on a reservation has evolved over years, or maybe hasn't evolved? Do you think Taylor's depiction is accurate? Is that how life is? Are we helping people that are in poverty on reservations? Do we have a long way to go? Whatever you wanted to say, Mo, because like it's heartbreaking and heart wrenching to watch life on the reservation. And I'm not going to shotgun approach the whole what reservations are like throughout the country. I don't know, or throughout the North America. I don't know, but I could say that watching it on Yellowstone, watching it in places, it's heartbreaking to watch what people are going through. Is it getting better? Whatever you wanted to say, Mo.
You know, there is no help going to the reservations. I grew up with no running water and electricity in our home.
Mm.
We still are in a very impoverished state, and I think that I listen to the media, and I listen to the stories they'll touch base on. Whether it's lead poisoning, water, or in Michigan or other places, and it's like, wow, there are reservations that have no running water,
Huh.
and people are still hauling water at times 30 plus miles, every day, that they're every other day, and some of those folks don't even have the gas money to do that, but they have to, just to be able to live. And so there are a lot of issues on the reservations that are still not talked about, and I'm thankful that we're that Taylor's taking advantage of this opportunity to bring that to light. And but there's a lot of positive things as well, and
Right.
that what it is that our culture, our language is still alive, and you can't buy that, you can't pay for it, and so we still have that. We're wealthy and we're rich in that aspect, but when it comes to everyday needs, just simple things, we're still hurting for that. And I wish people would take the time to go to reservations, and we don't need sympathy, we need empathy, you
Sure.
know and again, a helping hand. And so unfortunately there are some folks that take advantage of good, kind-hearted individuals, and so you have to be careful and do your research and navigate your way through, diligently, and just remain to what it is that you set out to do. And don't go there trying to change their faith. Don't go there trying to make them adapt to a different spiritual way. They have a spiritual way. Just go there with support for how they believe, and they're going to honor you and respect you for how it is that you believe as well. And that's where, we talk about diversity in this country, and today's conversation of diversity, it's only about skin color.
Yeah.
And the true essence to diversity is when we can breathe life into cultural diversity, then that's when we are going to begin to eliminate racism in all aspects. Because it don't matter, if you live in the projects in an inner city, or on a reservation, or even in some secure, healthy suburban area. Everyone experiences racism, no matter who we are and what based on whether it's on music that we like, or the types of food that we like. So there's racism that's every day, and it's due to the fact that there's no cultural understanding. And so we
No.
bring to light the cultural diversity.
Yeah, that's so well said. And it would be nice during like a presidential election or any type of election where if they talked about reservations or talked about, listen, poor is poor regardless of color. Like we should. You're right. Don't change people. Let's give people a help. Everyone, like I've needed a helping hand. You've needed a helping hand. Like let's not judge. Let's just. I don't know. I just what you're saying is music to my ears, and I hope over time people become more aware of other people's needs and put them in a position where they can succeed, Mo.
Yeah, and again, I'm living proof of that. Like I said earlier, Taylor and them, they gave me a helping hand, and I'm standing on my own, and I'm doing things, on my own now, and I'm providing for my family, and taking care of those that we rescued. We call them animals, but really they're such loving spirited individuals, and so they're living beings too. And so that's why, my wife, she's a hardcore advocate for that. She'll have me on the ice and on a frozen pond just to save a injured duck or a goose. I don't care. It's a life. It's an innocent life. And so and she's done the same. I've seen her, run in and do things. I'm like, whoa, you could have you put yourself in a dangerous situation, but it's not about that. She was successful in saving something, and it takes great courage. I mean, and Taylor is a courageous individual, and if you want to walk beside him as a friend, you got to be courageous too.
No, that's well said. And Mo, lastly, I will say this: your stance and your wife's stance on animals is so true because, like, I will look at animal like I have my dog here. My wife jokes with me. She goes, "You love him more than you do me and your daughter." And I'm like, "Listen, I don't love him more, but I definitely love him as much. Like I love them." And she's like, "You're terrible," but Mo, I tell you, who's not terrible is you. And I love this interview. I love the time you've given me. And Mo, I really hope. But before I let you go, is there anything you wanted to promote? Any future projects?
Yeah, we're working on a few different things. If you get we're working on this amazing show called Bass Reeves, and I can't wait for it to come out. And
Mm,
it's it's really exciting stuff, and it's part of one of Taylor's projects. But still, I mean, again, it's going to be really enlightful and helpful. And I'm working with Nakota Horses. I'm still doing all that I can to save wild horses. I'm doing everything possible to try to, because everything's about the environment, and just be real and truthful to that, because I want a world where children can still have good drinkable water and breathable air.
yeah, well said. And Bass Reeves, to go back to that, that's is that Dennis Quaid?
Dennis
Is that?
Quaid's in it.
Oh, that's gonna be good.
Yeah.
And I mumbled over your drinking water, but you're absolutely correct. Yes, 100%. But I am so happy that you are in the position you are in. You have earned it. And Mo, I hope you come back on the podcast one day. You have an open invitation anytime you want.
Thank you, Derek, so much for this opportunity. You're a good man, and keep up the good work.
Health.